Hi guys, my name's Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back to Conan Exiles. Now today, at the end of the last video, I said that I wanted to take a look at the god avatars that we've got so far, so I've got the true names of each of those down the bottom there, and I've built these huge walls that aren't actually all that big, but, you know, they're big enough for us to test out their kind of damage potential against and things like that, see what kind of destruction they cause, because we've seen them time and time again, but we don't have numbers on it so much, or at least not that I'm aware of. So I want to go in with our handy repair hammer here and go and take a look at the devastation after it's been caused. Now, I'm also just going to be talking about the live stream from last Tuesday whilst we do this. So let's summon our first one, and then we'll make a beeline for the first wall that we've got. Like this is always fun. I mean, I've seen more than enough times people just getting stabbed up when they're just stood here summoning. But hey ho. Right, so we got Mitra. We've got a 2-minute timer once he actually gets up. And now what they said in the last live stream was that creatures, or the avatars rather, like Mitra and Ymir and Yog, are all very very smashy. So like, I don't know if this is going to cause, yeah, so that's just a shockwave quite handily. But the biggest thing that they can do is walk through stuff, because it's been pointed out. Can we crush this wall? No. It's taking some damage from him rubbing against it, but oh, there we go. Because these are tier 3 materials as well. Okay, so him rubbing against it and him kind of just laying his feet down into it, like, you can quite happily just get through it. But I'm actually surprised at how well that wall has kind of stood up to him, because that was us spending half our time grinding against that. So, you know, you've got a lot more kind of time defended by your wall, and that's not even taking into account the kind of defenses that can be put in place, the kind of dome that prevents avatars. So that's, I feel like Mitra, after looking at this, is very much for taking on like groups of enemies. Like, I can see maybe the Mitran avatar being used to take on large purges, for instance. But against that wall, I mean, we'll take a look at the you know, like, it's knocked down most of the wall, I'll grant you that. But I'm interested to see how these last blocks actually fared, because unlike the one thing that they showed off in the live stream, okay, so it did a lot of damage to these, even though they remained standing. Like, it took like the one that fared the best, it took out kind of half its health, and on this side where it wrecked it, it took out like all but a tenth pretty much. So okay, that was potent, we'll give it that. But again, like that shockwave, those first few attacks really didn't seem to do much to the wall. It was the grinding up against it and managing to step over it eventually that did something. So yeah, there's that. Now I believe the next one we've got is set. So let's do this again. And whilst he's doing this, I'll talk about the live stream. So the live stream was really interesting. If you've not seen it, it's on their YouTube channel. So it's probably worth going and taking a look at. But the new biome is actually a lot more verdant across than I expected it to be. It actually seems to be a little wider than I thought it was going to be as well, to be fair. So, right, first off, what's... Okay, so that's a kind of one target thing. Oh, this guy does not control well, in my opinion. Can we attack the wall? Okay, we can put our head through the wall. Can we... Because this guy's not really got much in the way of, like, height. He's got that shockwave still that's coming off his attacks, but just attacking the wall... Like, I feel like this guy is to take out, like, specific groups, target kind of areas and players again. I feel like maybe some of these were designed with large-scale battles in mind rather than anything else. But, I mean, we'll take a look and see, because, again, we've spent about half our time here, and this is with the full 2-minute duration on as well. Like, it's like I know that he's going through the... He's going... Oh. Well, that was effective. We just needed to actually, rather than do tangential damage, we had to strike it directly. That's interesting. Okay, so he has a very hard kind of hit as long as you get it on point, which is interesting. Although he... Like, this kind of... slithery, sidewindy way of moving, it throws me off a little bit. It's very cool, very well animated, but like he doesn't seem to control quite as well as he could do. Also, what are the tiles on the ground taking damage from him moving? Weird. Okay, but he completely demolished this. Like, even the foundations are completely gone. But only when he landed direct hits on it. Which is interesting. Also, my neck seems to have broken again. But hey-ho. That's interesting. And, like, again, I wanted to take a look at these more so subsequently to the live stream, because the one thing that they showed off in the live stream that was awesome is the new Decetto avatar. And... It's not got much in the way of just straight up smashing damage and things like that. Its attacks are with the left side of its body that embodies death, it delivers plague seemingly, or some kind of damage over time, like high damage over time effect. And then with the other hand, with its right hand, it will blow a kiss the sprays its allies with healing. So, you know, it's interesting. Here we got Ymir, father of giants. Now, I would have thought that this guy would be the guy to really just wail on a wall and be completely fine with having to demolish stuff entirely. Although, I think we missed. Sidestep a little bit, forward a little more, and now let's give that another go, shall we? See, again, it's okay. That time it took out a whole column of our foundation wall. See if we can get more of a direct hit on the rest of it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so he possibly because he's got the weapon as well that allows for us to be far more precise in what we're aiming for, because it's just like, where will the axe head land? And so he's able to take out like a column at a time. There we go. Is that... Yeah, it looks like he got all of it. Let's just trample over the hole that we've just made in our invisible wall, just to make sure that any of the rest of the foundations are gone. Again, that took a while. Like, the thing that occurs to me is, with the 2-minute limit as well, these guys, like, they take a fair while to actually get stuff done against tier 3 materials, which, again, if you're one would hope that if you're defending against this, if you've all been on a server for the same amount of time and this stuff suddenly happens, then you know you would have tier 3 material to fight against this. Well, arguably these huge tier 3 monstrosities. But yeah, again, completely clear. Although again, like I feel like the avatars are there to make a whole. What I would find really interesting is if there was a server that was PvE primarily, but somehow they modded in or found a way to have the avatars as kind of roaming boss monsters for people to join up against and fight. That'd be interesting. I don't know if that's been done. I would imagine it has been somewhere, but hey ho. But again, like so far we're seeing a lot of. So we've got what? Very precise damage, but a lot of it with Ymir. We saw again very precise damage, but seemingly less of it with Set, because it just from where it was hitting, it had to be very precise to deliver maximum impact. And then we had Mitra there, who seemed to have a lot of kind of area on his attacks, but not so much in the way of just out and out force. Now, it'd be interesting to see how exactly all of these would do fighting each other. But hey ho, we've got one left. And again, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this was the Decetto one, because here we've got like one that seems to be high damage, one that seems to be lower damage but with a higher area, and then I think Ymir kind of sits between Set and Mitra. But then we've and they seem to have this kind of element of more maybe taking on soldiers rather than taking on walls and things. But then you've got Decetto, which seems to be this goddess that is only really focused on either attacking enemy players / thralls / whatever, or aiding allied ones. And that's kind of interesting in and of itself. But now we've got Yogg, who in my opinion is one of the coolest looking ones, because he's not just a big statue or a giant or anything like that. It's this creepy Lovecraftian kind of tentacled polyp thing, which I think is kind of awesome. But yeah, so what's his attack? He spews darkness, doesn't he? Or does he actually do anything? Okay. Interesting. So does that mean that if I come over this and then dive down, is that going to... Like, is this... I mean, it's doing damage to it, but... Again, I feel like one of the advantages is that Yogg here can actually travel over stuff. And whilst he travels over stuff, he does damage to it, sure, but... It seems much more like, in fact, this one, Yogg is the one that's more designed to just take on humans. Because I think that large area of effect on the ground... So I think what we've got is we've got Yogg at the top end, followed by... for killing off humans so far, we've got Yogg at the top end. For humans but not buildings. We've got Mitra kind of in the next step up. Then Ymir, as long as you're hitting with him. And then Set with the high precision, I think. I think that's what we're getting here. Because again, this only seems to really have done damage like to the point directly beneath it. And it's done damage to the rest of the walls, but it's not done as much, and we're nearly out of time again. Like, I feel like Yogg, it definitely has the largest area there because you can see it in the sand. But I don't think... Yeah, Yogg's actually the one that failed at the wall test. Oh, well, my neck's back to normal at least. But let's actually see what it managed to do. like 40% on the ones at the bottom. 30 on that one. Let's go and take a look at the top where its tentacles were actually hitting. Or will it? What? Is this because of heat stroke? Is this a thing that's doing this? Okay, well fine. We'll just fly our way up to take a look at the top. Right. Can we pull out a hammer? Can we actually see the numbers from here? Yeah, see again, like it's not done. It seems to have done fairly uniform damage to all of these and not done very much. So that's kind of interesting. That gives us a bit of a pecking order. Like, I'm interested to see what Decetto turns out. Like, maybe once that's in the game, which, from what they've said, we should be getting the combat update, which means I can build my arena. Maybe I'll build it out here. No, in fact, let's build it somewhere more temperate so that I don't have this heat stroke thing on me. But we'll build an arena and do a little kind of weapons and mechanics testing thing up there. But then also they said that the Purge is something that they want to put into the game as well. So they're going to put in the combat update and the Purge at some point in the near future, sometime over the next couple of weeks, probably at least. Simply because they were like, yes, we do need more testing on this. We do need to get it out live so that people actually have stuff to do. Because it's been a while since we've had like new stuff dropped into the game that we can mess around with. And that's completely understandable because of the amount of other stuff that they've had going on. Some of the other things that they've had to do, like the updating from, what was it, Unreal 4 to Unreal 4.15 or something like that, took them a fair while, caused some complications, which is arguably partly responsible for why we're seeing certain things cut in terms of content that otherwise, you know, we were hoping that they would get done. But like, we've got the new biomes though, because they showed off this area over here the other day, which seemed to start like this area here where I was like, I don't think they're going to change these outcroppings. That's been changed and altered. Some of the stuff over here has been changed and altered. So this area entirely has been kind of revamped, reworked. I think it might actually span the map off a bit further. They haven't shown the volcano biome yet, and so on and so forth. But they did say that this area of the map up here would remain empty at launch. Like this is the full game. And they're not commenting on DLCs or kind of post-launch content until post-launch. So, you know, which is reasonable and fair enough. But it's interesting to see how recent avatar attacks are marked on the map. Delightful. But yeah, we've got all of this stuff over here that looks really cool, and apparently there's an awful lot of stuff that ties into the story as well in regards to you know, some of the lines that we heard from, what was her name, Jamila the pirate queen. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff coming in, but we're not going to be seeing those biomes seemingly until launch. They don't want to spoil stuff, they don't want to show stuff off there until what, 8th of May. Whilst with the combat stuff and with the Purge, they said they want to drop those in much, much earlier in terms of like next couple of weeks, as it seemed to be the suggestion, although they weren't confirming any dates, because obviously if something breaks, if they can't do it, then they don't want to have people taking it as promises and things again. But, you know, we've got this stuff to look forward to, and it looks so good. Like, some of the new biomes and things to explore look really fun. We've got trees that we can build tree houses around, which I'm obviously going to spend some time trying to build out a kind of tree base that may very well be a Purge-proof base before I actually enable the Purge in the game to test all these bases. Because, again, I've got thralls that I need to equip and put stuff on. I'm probably going to have to spend a weekend maybe at some point if I've got a spare weekend, or a couple of evenings or something like that, going over things to make sure those are all ready to test. But yeah, we've got some interesting stuff. Again, if you haven't seen it yet, jump back and just take a look at the last video I did, and go and take a look at the article from PC Gamer that I put in the description of that video. But yeah, it looks like everything's coming together, and over the next few weeks we're going to see more from not necessarily the new biome, because they've shown that off already in terms of the swamp, but in terms of the volcano, they said they wanted to show that off, which I'm guessing, if it's as they've been talking about it as a whole biome, and this isn't a particularly big area, there's a chance that we'll see it spanning out more over here as well, maybe. But also, more to the point, there might be a lot more verticality to what's inside the volcano up here, so that even though it's smaller on the ground, we've got a lot more in terms of kind of up and down and nooks and crannies to go and climb up and find. So, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how that all pans out. But, at the moment, it looks like everything's coming together quite nicely. It looks like the story is going to lead us and draw us across the whole map, which means when I get into doing another playthrough, when I reset the game after we've finished testing stuff and going through stuff and whatever else, and I start just a straightforward playthrough on maybe slightly increased XP gain, but probably not much in the way of other changes in terms of gathering and stuff like that. So it might mean me doing gathering in between episodes and things with you guys, or maybe I'll use this as the first game that I take a look at maybe live streaming as a test. Who knows? And you guys can come farming with me whilst we have a chat or something. I don't know. We'll see how all that works out. But once we get to that, considering there is a story and it sounds like it's going to lead us across the whole map, and it sounds like we're going to have some choices to make that might have some really significant consequences, which is going to be interesting as well, considering that this is a big sandbox game. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what's going on, and I'm interested to see how the story kind of pans out and maps out with co-op, with more than one player. Just because, whilst I'll probably be playing most of it through by myself, when I'm playing it through with Hannah, or as and when after launch more of my friends come back to the game to go, oh well, it's launched now, let's take a look. It's going to be interesting to see how maybe all of us coming in at the beginning and doing the story together on a co-op game, kind of with maybe 4 to 6 of us or something at most, seeing how that changes things. Does it make things too easy? Does it make things too difficult? Does it make things like finding things as part of the story easier, or does it actually make it harder? We're going to have to see how all that pans out. But anyway, guys, I hope you found this interesting, and I hope you're looking forward to the next stuff. As said, go and check out the stuff that Funcom have put out either through media or on their dev stream from last Tuesday to take a look at it, because it's awesome. I'm as I said in the last video, I'm kind of really interested to go and see what happens with all of this post-launch, because obviously it depends on how many people come back to the game and how much money they get from it and who's playing what. But if they can continue to develop afterwards, then stuff like sorcery, stuff like another biome that's off to the northeast and stuff like that, all of it sounds like it's doable. They just need the support to get there. And the stuff that they've put together so far, even though they've had to cut some things, even though they've had to maybe slim some things down, they've tried to keep as much in the game as possible. And this game has so much potential. As Joel Bylos was saying in the dev stream the other day, it's a case of going, we don't want to or Funcom doesn't want to kind of lock us down to playing one way or the other. They want to allow us creativity. They want to allow us agency to kind of go out and do what we want and find what we want and enjoy the game the way we want to. Which, you know, that's the kind of game that allows people to learn. It's the kind of game that allows people to develop transferable skills. It's one of the reasons that I'm such a big fan of gaming generally. And like looking at where this game is going, like, yes, I'm a fan of the Conan universe, but the kind of mid-range between survival game where you can mess around and you can have fun with your friends, and it's got a little bit of tower defense in there, there's PvP if you want it, there's all this kind of stuff, and then also they want to tie it into a story that again relates back to the original Conan lore to one extent or another. And you know, I'm looking forward to seeing it all come together and enjoying it with people. So either way, guys, excuse me, either way, thank you very much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the stuff that they've shown off and what you're looking forward to most for full release in about a month's time, down in the comments. And otherwise, I will see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the video next week. Take care.